Hello and welcome to Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
And I'm Chunko.
Yep, today we have Chunko back with us. We will be discussing the new Batman cartoon show. Plus, we're going to look back, before we do that, at the previous Batman cartoons from the 90s and 2000s and kind of compare their first episodes. But before we get to all that, Caleb, how you been doing?
Good. Really, I've been in a Batman mood, and that's kind of why we kind of did this show. I've just been watching a lot of Batman. I watched the first episodes of these shows. Some of them I watched a couple more after, and I've been thinking about getting a DC Infinite uh, a DC Infinite subscription just because like I want to read more Batman and some more um, just some more DC in general. But I would want to get like an iPad first.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Like just reading off my phone, reading off the desktop. I could read off the desktop, but I want to relax on my couch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, really, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I've been doing.
I usually read One Piece off my phone, and it can be hard to tell what's happening sometimes. So I definitely hear you about having an iPad or something that's a little bit more better at seeing all the art.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember what I did this week, and I was like, oh yeah, I watched Batman all week. That's what I've been doing. Yeah. It's been a long, stressful week, but yeah, it was fun watching Batman and watching Cape Crusader, which we will talk about. Chunko, how about you? How was your week?
Oh, it was pretty good. I've finally finished the first chapter of The Hobbit, which I've been getting around to trying to read The Hobbit for the past couple months, but now I'm actually like sitting down and reading it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I listened to Hobbit on audio on a car trip a while back. It's pretty good. And I started doing Lord of the Rings, and I got bored and didn't finish it. So someday I need to circle back around. So that is cool. Caleb, why don't we go ahead and get into our topics? Because we got a lot of DC news to cover, and then a lot of Batman shows.
So I don't have any. I don't have anything to use for. You want to talk about the Marvel epics? I couldn't find a comprehensive photo of all of them.
Sure. There's a channel called Near Mint Condition, ran by the amazing Omar. He's from Louisville, Kentucky. You guys should hook up. He does lots of graphic novels, previews, and all that good stuff. And he's usually joined every couple of months by Curtis, who runs the Marvel Epic group on Facebook that I'm a part of. So they announced, and they announced stuff way out in advance. So this is the list for Epic collections for April through July 2025. Let me see if I can. I think you can pull it up on Wikipedia. There's probably a list on there. It's up on screen, Caleb, if you want to go look.
Yeah, let me take a look.
Normally, the Epic line usually covers classic comic books from the 60s through probably early 2000s. But they have started doing modern lines where they are starting to do stuff like Grant Morrison's X-Men or Brubaker's Winter Soldier.
I definitely wanted your opinion on that because I I gotta be honest. I'm actually not down with it.
I wish they had finished the classics first, and then you can do the modern era.
Yeah, yeah. Like to me, Epic Collections was everything from the very beginning to 1998. 1998 is basically whenever um it's basically whenever Volume 2 started.
Yeah,
Uh
Onslaught happened is what happened, and they did Heroes Reborn, and it ended a lot of classic runs. It was kind of a breaking point for the Marvel universe. So yeah, anything pre Onslaught, I thought would have been fair game for the Epics. Um, that being said, they have branched out the modern epics. They're still doing the classic stuff. There's still Claremont classic X-Men stuff that has not been printed. They still haven't done John Byrne's Fantastic Four or Alpha Flight. They haven't done what is his name? Frank Miller's Daredevil. There's a lot of stuff that they have not reprinted. They're trying to reprint more of the obscure stuff, get it out of the way
yeah.
that has never been printed, which I get. But
Then why would
yeah,
you print modern? That's my thing.
yeah. So here's the thing: the list for April through July, we got some bangers in here, some really good ones. We got two that have never been reprinted. Well, they got omnibuses last year, but Marvel had lost the rights to them for a while, and I guess they worked out a deal with Hasbro. That would be Rom the Space Knight
Give me a
and
second.
the
Perfect.
Micronauts.
Keep talking. Give me 1 second, okay?
Yep. So Rom the Space Knight was a very popular character in, I guess, the 80s. I think that's when it started. Might be. I don't think he was in the 70s. I could be wrong on that. Um, but Rom the Space Knight interacted quite a bit with the Marvel Universe. He is one of the reasons that Rogue is part of the X-Men. She touched two people. She touched Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel, stole her powers, and then she learned heroism by touching Rom. So Rom's a very important part of the X-Men mythos. And then Micronauts had a crossover with X-Men that was also super popular that hasn't been reprinted in a long time that involves the New Mutants. So hopefully we'll
Yeah,
get those stories reprinted. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Quantum Mania, I'm pretty sure was supposed to be a sort of not Micronauts adaptation.
Yes.
That's kind of what the idea was. Uh, yeah, I'm excited for the Rom the Space Knight reprints just because we haven't gotten any sort of like with the other like Marvel toy comic runs, with the exception of stuff like Transformers, like there's usually like, okay, we can make a substitute version so that we can at least keep the lore and the storytelling of it.
Yeah, there's still Space Knights running around Marvel. They're just not ROM. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And Bug is still around from Micronauts. They wanted him to be in a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, then realized, oh, these rights are probably all tangled. We won't include him. But yeah, it's these are two properties that had a lot to do with the Marvel Universe back in the day, and it's great to see these reprinted. And I would recommend. I don't know how long this deal lasts, so once they get reprinted, I would snatch them up.
Another thing that I would recommend, I just noticed this. This is kind of cool. I'm kind of down with this. I'll probably pick these up. They're reprinting Bendis's Daredevil, which it looks like it's gonna run from Volume 2 to Volume 5. Because Cell Block D, I think this is whenever
Brubaker.
yeah, that's when Brubaker starts. So I think there's one more, and then before this, the number one that should be Kevin Smith's Daredevil. So I'll probably pick these up because I believe Bendis's Daredevil to be one of the greatest runs on comics of all time, and I don't own it. I think this one's weird. That I feel like Astonishing X-Men is one of the most available,
Right.
and we're still reprinting this.
It must sell like
Well,
crazy.
I mean,
it's
yeah,
like Watchmen.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Uh,
oh, go ahead.
some of the other big titles we're getting, Annihilation.
Oh, of course, of course.
They're collecting those. They're also reprinting. They're not really epics, but the X-Men Age of Apocalypse line is getting another reprinting. The Ultimate lines are getting epic collections. So Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, the Ultimates, all that's getting starting to be collected. Just some really good stuff in here.
You know what's
Um,
weird?
mhm.
Uh, so they're doing Annihilation, and we've got 2 volumes of Guardians. There's no Modern Nova.
It is weird how what's weird that they don't have collected at all.
What's that?
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Oh,
Yeah. It's strange. I mean, we got Spider Girl and stuff, and Spectacular Spider-Man. Nope. One of the bigger Spider-Man titles. There's nothing.
and
So
this is this is really weird. So the Star Wars Epic collections are the 20. These are the Disney ones.
well, you're in the modern ones.
Well-
Go if you scroll back up, all the classic stuff
No.
has all been printed.
Oh, no.
Everything.
Wait,
Yeah.
did they finish Star Wars?
Yes, they finished classic Star Wars, so now they're doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you go up to classics up the top, if you click Star Wars there, everything's printed.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
That's kind of gnarly.
Yeah, you can get all of that in Epics, and sometimes you can find them at Ollie's.
Yeah,
so-
I'm not going to say you can get all of these now because as a collector of Legacy and one who is missing Volume 2 is like $300 now.
Yeah, they do eventually reprint these. In fact, again, on near mint condition, they have polls saying which one do you want reprint the most, and they send those lists to Marvel, and Marvel does usually reprint whatever they recommend. So definitely get on that. I will say this about Epics: they have raised the price on these. They're up to like $50 a pop. Don't pay $50 for these. You can usually get them cheaper. Sometimes Amazon will have a deal. What is the name of that website? Cheap Graphic Novels.
Oh, yeah, the one you sent me.
And there's one other one. It'll come to me in a second. Also, keep an eye on Target. They'll do 2 for $3 deals, and they usually have all the Marvel Epics. So you usually get a good deal through Target. So yeah, Marvel Epics, they're really cool. I think I've got probably about 20 on my shelf over there. Slowly collecting all of Amazing Spider-Man. It's a chore. There's a lot of volumes. And then Claremont's X-Men, and I got some Hulk stuff over there, and then I've got some Star Wars titles that I got through Ollie's. They had a bunch there. So, and some stuff I'm looking for is out of print. So, I'll kind of hit up comic book stores every once in a while. I don't like paying more than cover price for anything. So I will hunt around and try to find something that, either a comic store doesn't know that they have something that's out of print that's going for $300. You can get it for cover price, or I'll just keep hitting websites and stuff. So
Yeah. Speaking of epics, I wasn't. I don't know when they announced this. DC's finest trade paperbacks. Looks like it's going to be kind of like their version of the epics.
Yes.
Which I am kind of jazzed for myself. Let's see, give me 1 second.
Yeah, and they also started. I can't remember what the line is called, but they're like digest size copies of their big stories, like
the digest
All-Star Superman and Watchmen and stuff for like $10 a pop. So I don't want to spend $50 on Watchmen, but I'll buy it for $10. Sure,
So the price point on these looks like they're going to be at $40. So if epics are running $50, these are already $10 less.
So I'm surprised they're putting 0 Hour in there.
I was surprised too. I'm actually Not sure why they're starting out with 0 hour. As far as I would assume it's just because every other thing like Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis, like those are printed pretty regularly.
Yeah.
So 0 hour.
Yeah.
One that I
It is pretty. It's like semi-necessary. It's like Crisis 1.5.
yeah. Um, it's gonna be really funny for the people who like go to get some Green Lantern and then they go to 0 hour and like what happened in between these two?
Like,
For
why is he Parallax? Isn't Parallax like some yellow demon thing?
yeah.
Most people who buy Green Lantern are like, why isn't he black? I thought he was black on Justice League. What is happening? Yeah.
Right. So one that I'm excited for, of course, is actually the Batman Year One, Year Two that we have right here. Batman Year One, everyone knows Miller and Mazzucchelli. Most people don't know about Batman Year Two. My dear uncle, are you familiar with Batman Year Two at all?
Is this where Mask of the Phantasm is from? The Reaper
Yes.
story? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So yes, and there it takes a lot. Mask of the Phantasm is better because uh, it's more of a mystery in Mask of the Phantasm. In year two, it is not. Um, it is not a mystery at all. But it's written by Mike Barr and drawn by Alan Davies, um, who halfway through leaves the book because of some art issues. And for the last two issues, which is weird because I don't know why his name's not on this, a young Todd McFarlane takes over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because if you read his issues of Batman Year 2 and see how he draws his cape, and then you go and read some of his Spider-Man with Venom, and you're like, oh, so he just put a Batman cape on Spawn, like literally. I know that's the joke, but it's like he literally did that.
Right.
But yeah, these I'm excited for. Honestly, I'll probably do my best to. I'd like to collect all of the Batman ones just because I like having. Uh, I like. I don't know about you guys, but I like having the same print of
The same branding on the
right, exactly.
Spines. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
so
I kind of know what you mean by that because I was collecting a lot of volumes of the Berserk manga,
Mm-hmm.
but some of the volumes are from the older print, and they look almost similar, but the spines are just slightly different, where the number is like a little higher than the others, and it annoys the crap out of me.
Have you ever seen the collections of the TV show Monk, his DVDs?
yes, yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're all the same except for one to drive you crazy. It's so funny.
Oh, you know who I feel bad for is the Simpsons fans because
Oh
they,
yeah.
they have to deal with the plastic faces. But so I'm gonna try to get all of the and these are coming out. I believe the first run is in November, which at a premium price point, knowing in advance is definitely helpful. So that way I know by November I want to get Batman Year One and Year Two, and maybe Catwoman Lifelines because I believe that's the '90s Catwoman, which is freaking awesome. Um, and it's not on here because I don't think they have the art ready for it, but they're actually reprinting Green Arrow, the Longbow Hunters, which is one of my favorite Green Arrow storylines. So I might have to pick that up as well.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Hasn't been announced, but I'm waiting for the Justice League International stuff to get printed.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
When that stuff starts getting printed, I'll hop on that.
Oh yeah. So next up we have Absolute DC now.
Oh,
Absolute unit.
what is that logo on Batman's chest? What is that?
This is the Batman who lifts.
Apparently.
So essentially, right now DC is going through, and just so you guys know, I'm on board with all this. I'm just gonna go ahead. My opinion is I am on board with Absolute DC. Um, but right now, Absolute Power is a storyline going on right now. Essentially, I wouldn't hide away from it. You know how Hickman had his Ultimate Universe storyline that kind of bled into 616, and now the Ultimate Universe is back. That's kind of what's going on with Absolute DC, and so they have 5 lines coming out. Uh, Let me get this article pulled up real quick. Um, but essentially, this is going to be uh, DC's Ultimate Universe, which I'm kind of psyched for the team that's writing these. So let's see. Absolute Batman. Creative team is Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta. Snyder and artist Dragotta refer to this hero as the Batman who lifts, as this is a brawnier Batman than we've ever seen, obviously. Um, this Bruce Wayne, this is a Bruce Wayne without the incredible financial resources. Rather than being a billionaire playboy, he's a humble Gotham City engineer and construction worker who forges his own suit of crime-fighting armor. Features a reinvention of the character. Alfred Pennyworth is being reimagined as an MI6 agent who first encounters Bruce while on a mission to Gotham. Which Alfred being an MI6 agent isn't anything new. In fact, we'll talk about that later on.
Mhm.
But
I'm gonna say, based on that description, Caleb, they've already lost me.
you gotta, but that's the thing is you gotta go by the creative team.
I guess.
Yeah.
What I'll say this before we get any deeper. It's weird they're doing this again because I feel like they did this like 10 years ago with
With Earth
All Star
Yeah.
Batman and All Star Superman, and it just did not like All Star Batman was Frank Miller's run, and it's often very ridiculed. I know some people like it,
Oh,
some people
okay.
don't.
So All Star is actually that's about 20 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
But they did do this about 10 years ago with Earth One, and Earth One was actually very popular. But they really didn't like make a universe out of it. I think like they just did 3 volumes of every superhero, and then that was it.
Mhm.
So wasn't necessarily a universe. This one I think is going to be interesting. Jason Aaron is writing Superman.
Okay.
Let's see. His goal with Absolute Superman is to imagine what the character would be like if he were conceived in 2024 rather than 1983. Apart from the fact that Superman is an alien refugee from the doomed planet Krypton, anything and everything is up for interpretation. It appears that this is a Superman who never grew up on the Kent family farm. We don't even know how different his powers will be at this point, which is interesting. I like the if he were conceived in 2024 rather than 1938, because if you remember back with Ultimate Spider-Man, that's kind of what it was. Is like, okay, so if Spider-Man were just if the conception of Spider-Man was created in 2001, how would that look?
I'm a little suspicious because anytime there's like we're gonna reinvent Superman sort of thing, it always just kind of just makes it all dark and depressing, while Superman just feels like the ideal of like the American ideal of like the New Deal era of America.
So I would agree, but like I said, it all comes down to creative team. The fact that it's Jason Aaron writing it makes
What
me
What are some things he did besides Ninja Turtles?
Thor, Star Wars, and
Wolverine the X-Men.
Wolverine and the X-Men. I mean, he
Superman
made
and Wolverine for a long time. His Avengers run has been trashed by a lot of people, but he when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's bad. I'll put it that way.
I mean, he made Wolverine a dad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I the fact that it's Jason Aaron writing Superman, and I love his Thor run, and I've always thought of Superman as like if we're gonna compare characters, Superman and Thor are very similar. Um, and so I think out of all of them, this is the one I'm most excited about, just because it's Jason Aaron writing Superman for once.
Hmm.
The others I'm not too jazzed about, just because. So Absolute Flash, we don't know much about. Absolute Green Lantern, we don't know much about. Uh, and I'm not really a Wonder Woman guy. Kelly Thompson, who's written Birds of Prey. Um, I think this is funny. Basically, she looks to be Wonder Woman by way of God of War, which I think is funny. I don't know if that's something that I actually want, but describing your Wonder Woman comic as God of War is funny. And, you kind of got me interested. Um, Jeff Lemire has written tons of Green Arrow, and getting him on Flash is going to be interesting. What I do like uh, is this is going to be Wally West with no Barry Allen, which is the way I like it with my Flash. Um, I love Flash Rebirth, but I feel like everything that is wrong with DC can be traced back to Flash Rebirth and bringing back Barry Allen. And it appears that the Speed Force is a more sinister and malevolent influence in the Absolute Universe. I don't know what that means, but you got me interested in some way. Because
I mean, I've always considered the Speed Force to be pretty neutral in the grand scheme of things.
yeah. And then Absolute Green Lantern, it definitely looks like that they're looking at the Lanterns HBO show, because it looks like it's going to be a buddy comedy. Ensemble cast includes Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, and Joe Mullen, which is the cast of the Lanterns show. And all of these, so Absolute Power ends on October 2nd, and all of these issues release on October 2nd, or some of them release on October 2nd.
Okay, I'm gonna share something. What this reminds me of. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up. Do you remember this?
I do. So here's the thing. I've actually read the Batman one recently.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I don't know. This I'm not. Of course, I'm not a DC guy. I'm not saying I don't like DC characters, but I'm not a DC fan as much as Caleb is. I'm not feeling too jazzed about this. I do like some of the creators involved, but it feels like they're going to take the characters in such a different direction that they're going to be unrecognizable by the time it's done. That's just the way I felt from that press release.
Yeah, I can I can joke about Absolute Batman, but I feel like Absolute Batman's going to be all right just because it's Scott Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Snyder, love him or hate him, has never made something that is straight up bad, like relating to Batman, like straight up bad.
Yeah. I mean, like his worst thing on Batman is probably his All-Star Batman, and even then, that was just mediocre.
There was I cannot remember the name of it. Back in the early 2000s, there was a fan magazine called Marvel Visions, and it was just kind of like talk about what was coming out that month, basically. But they always had a 2-page spread, an article about what if Spider-Man was recreated by today, and they'd be outrageous recreations of characters, and that's kind of what this reminds me of.
A little bit. I do think that I do think that the Batman one at least definitely feels like an Image comic more than anything.
Yeah.
Just by the design. Like I said, the one that I'm most excited for is Superman. In fact, I think Superman is the one that in this press photo, Superman's the one that looks the best, anyways.
Sure. Yeah. I don't think DC ever knows what to do with Wonder Woman. Um, they know that she's part of the big three, but then they're like, well, but what do we do with her?
Right, right.
Yeah.
One of the complaints I hear about Superman and with Peter Parker about how you can't tell that story in a modern era is that they both work at newspaper places, and that newspapers are dead, so you really can't have that modern age. And to me, it doesn't bug me. I'm like, who cares? It's a comic book. I don't care if they work at the newspaper. But like they're always trying to update where now they write for a internet website or a TV show or this or that, and to me I'm just like, just leave them at the newspaper. I don't care. So I'll be curious what they change it to in this.
Yeah, I guarantee you he's not working at a newspaper.
I guarantee it too. Yeah.
You know what this is? I feel like that this is going to be close. Do you remember the Gods and Monsters movie?
I have not. Or did you make me watch that? I don't think I've seen that.
I don't think I haven't made you watch that.
Good movie.
It's great. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is taking some cues from that. In that one, if so, Superman is Zod's son, Batman is Kirk Langstrom, and Becca is Wonder Woman.
Oh, weird.
It's so weird. But it's written by Alan Burnett, so it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so this is this is something at least to keep my eye out, keep your eye out for, just because it's right now we've got absolute power with DC, so this is kind of like the next state of DC, at least as far as Elseworlds go. So definitely something to keep your eye out on. Up next, I forgot to tell you to watch the trailer, Cameron. But did you see the Creature Commandos trailer?
I saw it, but it's been like a week ago, so I'm trying to remember it.
Oh, okay.
It looks fun. I mean,
yeah.
I just have Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein on the team. It's just fun. So
looks very Mike Mignola inspired.
Little bit. The thing that I find weird, because I thought that with this description in it being Rick Flag Sr., I thought that it was going to be like a World War II inspired show.
Mm-hmm.
But this takes place after the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker season 1.
Yeah, and so one of the things that James Gunn has done, which I do not like, I love James Gunn. I do not like that we don't know what's in continuity and what isn't. And to me, it should have been a hard reboot. Everything's brand new.
Well, welcome to DC. We've been like this since the New 52.
That is true. that is exactly like the comic books. It's been like this since Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's when it started.
Basically, I wonder if he's doing that on purpose. Like, like I wouldn't be surprised if he's being really vague just to be like the comics, like for better or worse.
Here's the thing: you have, let's say, like 40% of the audience that actually cares that it's, is this continuity? Is this not continuity? And the rest are wondering when Thor is going to show up in the next Justice League movie. They are, they have no clue. These are two different companies. They don't get it. They're just a very casual audience that's just going to see,
I'm seeing Superman movies.
Yeah.
Did your wife tell you what my mom said to her about Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yes, I heard.
My aunt asks my mother, "Hey, you guys gonna see Deadpool and Wolverine?" And she says, "Maybe not both, but maybe Wolverine."
Yeah, I think that would be the Or remind me, tell you off air what my dad said about
Okay.
Deadpool Wolverine.
Okay. Now here to me here. First of all, I'm just kind of down that and Cameron and I have been talking about this character a lot this week because of Batman Beyond, because he didn't know that this was a pseudo adaptation of this character. But Dr. Phosphorus is in this show, and I'm excited about that because I love Dr. Phosphorus.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Why
what?
are skeletons such like the best designs?
I don't know, man. Black Mask, Red Skull, it's great.
Ghost
Um,
Rider.
Ghost Rider, man. One thing that I'm interested in, I wonder if there's like, and would it be in this show? Would you have the revelation of, oh, you're working for Amanda Waller, and Amanda Waller basically had your son killed, Rick Flag Sr. um,
Well, have you heard that Rick Flag's going to be appearing in uh, Peacemaker season 2?
like junior or senior?
Junior. We don't know if it's flashbacks or not, but I have a feeling they might just bring him back just to make things a little less awkward.
Yo, I cannot get Joel Kinnaman out of my life. But
I could. I mean, part of me's like, I don't like when they bring people back, but also part of me could see Amanda Waller being like, "Oh, you're signed up for this job forever. We're just gonna keep bringing you back to life every time you die." You know,
that'd be really funny.
yeah, I could see her doing that.
I also think it's funny that James Gunn has his brother running double time for this show because he's playing GI Robot and Weasel. I doubt Weasel takes any effort, but
Yeah.
I also like the fact that they're following up on the fact that if you pay close attention in the Suicide Squad movie, Weasel didn't die.
No, he didn't.
He just couldn't swim, but his little thingy never said death or dead or anything like that.
Didn't what's his name also survive? Nathan Fillion's character.
No, he died.
No, he died.
I thought I read somewhere that there was something like maybe it was a deleted scene where he got brought back to life or something.
Maybe.
I can't remember.
What was it? The detachable kid. That was his name.
Yeah. Detachable limb kid or whatever. Yeah.
Arm fall off boy.
Yeah.
That's the. I can see why they went with TDK. And speaking of, so Superman has wrapped. Yay! You know what's insane to me? Superman and Fantastic Four are releasing the same month. Superman has wrapped. Fantastic Four has not started filming.
Yeah. Well, I assume that most of the special effects have already been done. Like a lot of that's just going to be animated, whatever. They've already done most of the pre-work or whatever.
And thus continues my issue with Marvel.
Yeah, this thus continues the reason why Captain Falcon has had so many reshoots, and rewrites, and yeah, they kind of do things out of order.
Less we talk about Blade, the better.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that's still on the slate.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised that because it's on the news, but we heard that the Lando TV series has been quietly canceled. Although there may still be a Lando movie that might be a separate thing. We don't know. Like maybe it's turned into a movie. But
here's the thing: anytime Star Wars, like the Lucasfilms or whatever, they announce a bunch of Star Wars crap, just expect 90% of all of it to be canceled.
Yes.
and the other 5% get turned into movies or shows when they were originally movies or shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last 5% is it goes as expected but sucks.
It's
hold on.
Star Wars.
Andor went as expected.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the exception to the rule. That, and I guess Mandalorian a little bit until they fired Gina Carano and all
Well,
that.
so technically, if you take Mandalorian from the very beginning, it was originally a Boba Fett film that they took
Yeah.
out Boba Fett,
Yeah, yeah.
and so so if we're talking about from inception to production to like Andor is the only one that was conceived as a show and proceeded to be a show.
I was just
Though
now
it,
picturing that.
though
Go
it
ahead.
was originally supposed to be 5 seasons, but they shortened it to 2 seasons. Not because of any like executive meddling, but just because they didn't want to work on the show that long.
I respect that.
I'm just now picturing, ignoring what happened to Boba Fett on the later show, but imagine if Mandalorian was classic Boba Fett with Grogu, how much different it would
That
be.
Oh yeah.
would have been fun. The more I see Nicholas Holt bald, I'm like, this guy's gonna do work as Lex Luthor. Um, so speaking of, this isn't on the list. After this, we'll move on to the main subject.
Mhm.
But while we have Cameron or Junko, sorry,
Mhm.
we all have our own opinions. What's your opinion on Doctor Doom?
And there we go.
Yep, that's
There's
all.
that's
That's really
Joko's
all.
opinion.
That's really all we need.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not even joking. That is really all we need.
Yeah,
Um,
good. Moving on.
all right. So, as far as what we've done is we've not every Batman show, but kind of the major ones. Like we didn't go all the way back to like I think there was the one with Adam West in the '60s. We didn't watch that one.
There was one in the '80s. There was Super Friends. There
Yeah.
was a Challenge of the Super Friends.
Yeah.
There's been a lot.
Yeah, and we didn't watch Bat Wheels either. At least I didn't. Are you familiar with Bat Wheels?
No, I'm not.
Oh man, Bat Wheels is their children's show where it's like Cars, but it's the Batmobile.
Yeah, and,
So
and I know
it's like Crypto the Super Dog.
It's like Crypto the Superdog, but it's Cars.
So is
I
it
know
gonna
I-
be like Superman spaceship?
I don't know.
I know I ridiculed it at the time, but I kind of really wanted to see that Gotham High show that was canceled that never got the
Oh yeah.
the one of them all as teenagers at high school.
Well, they did come out with Gotham Knights on the CW. That's close, and it's pretty horrid.
Yeah.
So we'll start. I just want to go through these like pretty much in the order that they came out. So we started with an animated series on Leather Wings. Here's the thing. I have some pretty interesting opinions on the animated series as a whole, so I don't want to go first.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I thought would be fun to do on these is we could take one or two roles as a viewer or you're an exec at DC, and you've just seen this pilot. Do you greenlight it for a full show, or are you going to continue watching it as a viewer?
Okay.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Cool.
I love Batman the animated series. I'm trying to ignore that I love the series. I'm trying to put that in this first time I'm seeing this. You definitely get an idea of who Bruce Wayne and Batman are. This is coming off the heels of, I think, Batman Returns in theaters is when this came out.
Yep. 92.
So they are borrowing a lot from the Tim Burton verse in this. I enjoyed Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Bullock. They were great. I thought the mystery was good. There's some misdirects, and I thought the creature design was great. I thought Bruce Wayne was great. He had a little bit of jokes with Alfred, but then you also have the seriousness of Batman. And you can see a little bit of Bruce Wayne's social life. I just thought this was great all around.
Mm-hmm. So I very much agree. My big thing is if I am to take this on its own, would I greenlight this? Would I continue watching this as a viewer based on this episode? Absolutely. Uh,
Yes.
one thing that I think that we have to acknowledge, though, uh, the animation never looks this good ever again.
Like I think I agree. The only time it ever like exceeds this quality is Mask of the Phantasm. That's a
Yeah.
theatrical film.
Well, and you'll see this too of shows like Gargoyles. The problem is they're trying to get a pilot greenlit, so they will spend
Yeah.
more money on the pilot,
Yep.
and then once it's approved, they gotta get usually animated series is usually anywhere from 26 to 52 episodes in order. So they are shopping those out to different animation groups overseas to get these out the door. So that's why your
Yeah.
quality is going to be all over the place.
Yeah, so On Leather Wings was animated by a Japanese company called Spectrum Animation Co.
Mhm.
They were like, uh, they did a lot of like overseas stuff. They did Captain N. They animated Captain N, the Game Master,
Which
but
itself had varying qualities depending on which episode you were watching.
yeah, but overall, when you actually look at their filmography for Batman the Animated Series, they pretty much animated almost all the best episodes.
I believe
They-
I believe Heart of Ice. Did you say that's the Heart of Ice is the episode that got them shut down, right?
Yeah, because they spent
Wow.
too much money animating that. It was too good.
Well,
They
it was worth it.
They also helped animate Mask of the Phantasm,
hmm Yeah,
also, as well as Robin's Reckoning.
yeah. So I definitely want to acknowledge that uh, that you know. So I'll go ahead and just put this out there. I'm of the opinion that I love the animated series, but I also acknowledge that I think it is incredibly overhyped. And so that would be just my opinion on.
I will
the
say
show.
there's definitely some crappy episodes.
I think there's more crappy than none in this first run.
I can see that.
Yeah, because like here's the thing: when this show is good, it's really good, and this is one of them. On Leather Wings, their interpretation of Man Bat's really good.
Mhm.
Clayface, a lot of their origin episodes are really good.
Yeah, I think a lot about Clayface or Baby Doll or Mr.
Yeah.
Freeze. I don't think about Batman suplexing alligators in the sewers, saving orphan kids from a guy with an eye patch or whatever
Yeah.
that episode is. There's some
Thunderbusters.
definite stinkers.
Yeah.
In the show.
Yeah. But on the whole, like if just talking about this episode, this is a really good episode. And what I like what this brings to the table is from the very beginning it shows you that he cares because he defeats Man Bat. He gives Kirk Langstrom the antidote, and instead of bringing him to the police, he brings him back to his family.
Yeah.
Well,
he understood that he was out of control. It was
Yeah.
it was the bat controlling the guy, not the guy controlling the bat. So
yeah,
Mhm.
which that's cool from the very beginning to from the very beginning he cares.
mhm.
Junko, do you have any other thoughts on this one, or was it just the animation?
Yeah, like that was basically our conversation the entire time we were watching. Is this show is like this episode is pure eye candy.
I
Like-
think they'll throw in that we get Batman versus the police, and Commissioner Gordon doesn't quite trust Batman yet, but he
a bit year 2-ish.
yeah.
That is one thing that and I do like that, and we'll get into that with some of these other shows. That's like never picked up on in anything else that the animated
Yeah,
series does.
yeah. Like to be honest, I don't really like. I don't think the year two era fits the animated series.
Um, but yeah. All right. So next up we have uh, Holiday Nights. I love this frame. It's so funny. So Holiday Nights is a vignette for the new Batman Adventures, and I know some people are like, "No, this is season 4 of the animated series." I have to respectfully disagree. There was a gap in between production, because in between animated series and new Batman Adventures, they were working on Superman. There's an art style change. There is a tonal change between animated series and this.
Still there?
Yes,
It's funny because it was pitched as a more lighthearted Batman cartoon show.
right. It was pitched as more lighthearted, and I think that if we look at the show as a whole,
No,
it's darker.
Yeah.
Uh,
they
so,
say kill a lot in this. They said
oh my god.
murder.
Champagne. There's alcohol in this.
Multiple villains die in this show.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was, I don't know if you mentioned, this Batman animated series was on Fox, and this is on Kids WB, so the rules changed to what they could get away with.
Right.
So they had more freedom. So I was tempted to watch the Superman animated series pilot also, but I just didn't have time. But
Well, I mean, and that's like 3 episodes.
yeah, exactly. I did not have time.
You're adding 3 more episodes to the slate.
Yeah. So to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever seen this before
Okay.
when I watched this. So
Really?
yeah. So I did feel like it was a little bit more lighthearted. This episode is 3 different stories well, actually, I guess technically 4 stories taking place around the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
One featuring Bruce Wayne, one Batgirl, one Batman and Robin, and the last one being Batman and Commissioner Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
I guess anything that really stood out to me was the new Robin. I haven't watched the show in decades.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I haven't watched it since Return of the Joker. So seeing him just being a little kid trying to be Robin, it kind of broke my heart.
Oh yeah.
Knowing what's coming later on. I guess that'd be my main comment on the show is just Robin.
Yeah.
I thought this was good. I don't think it was as good as the Batman animated series pilot. But yeah, I think that's about all I had to say about this show. Would I continue watching it or greenlight? Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, I know I did watch it, so.
No, here's the funniest thing. As far as airing goes, even though these are different shows, this is supposed to be technically in the same universe as the previous animated series. This is your first exposure to this Robin.
Yes.
And it's actually the second episode where you get this Robin's origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which by the way, let's get this out of the way. This is not Tim Drake. This is Jason Todd.
Yeah. Same backstory.
They call him Tim. It's Tim Drake in name only. Everything else is pure Jason Todd.
Terry McGinnis is more Tim Drake than this Tim Drake.
Yeah. Very, very, very much so.
Yeah, and I'll touch a little bit on the last story where it's just Commissioner Gordon and Batman having their yearly coffee. I thought that was brilliant.
I love it.
It was very short, but it was just brilliant. And I like it because if you read stuff like Dark Knight Returns, they're still having like lunch meets and stuff together.
Yeah.
So
I will say probably the worst vignette out of all of them is probably the Clayface one, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I like Harvey Bullock. I always like Harvey on the show.
Oh, Harvey. Yeah. I love Harvey Bullock.
Him trying to be Santa Claus is really fun.
And you know what? Like you got you got and there's still heart with Harvey because
Mhm.
he's asleep whenever I want this thing and that thing, but then whenever he finds
The little girl.
the little girl who he put her father away, uh I mean
Yeah,
that
I was surprised that didn't come back at the end of the episode, like the dad getting set free or something. But
um
yeah,
here's so that's not in this episode. You do get so they don't come back to this little girl specifically, but they do stories like that in this show.
Mhm.
Specifically, Old Wounds, which is the Nightwing origin. You
Mhm.
get something similar to that, but it ends the way that you would
Well,
want it to.
well, also this episode does have like
All
a
of
pseudo
Batman animated
sequel
series.
with one of the best Clayface episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But I was saying I'm pretty sure I've seen all of Batman animated series. I don't. In fact, I know I have not seen all of this, the Batman and the New Adventures.
yeah. So I'll go ahead and say this as well. Um, I like this better than the animated series. Um,
You,
this is
you are a man of hot takes when it comes to the animated series.
yes. But and let's move on to
Well, can I
the
let me ask you this? Since you
oh,
said that,
okay.
uh, when Batman animated series hits its heights, it's way up there. Like
Mhm.
it's like perfection. Does this series ever reach those types of heights?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Okay.
You've
It's
I
got
might go back and rewatch all these just because
you,
it's been a hot minute, and I'm sure I've missed some of the episodes.
you've got
over
uh,
the edge.
Over the Edge. You've got Cold Comfort, Mad Love. Mad Love is probably the single best episode of either of these shows.
But to be fair, that's kind of cheating since it's an adaptation
Yeah.
of a comic.
Yeah.
I've read that comic book like 1,000 times. So yeah, I know that episode.
But I mean, I think that, and here's the thing, my biggest hot take, um, of the animated series, of the original animated series, is I don't think the writing is there as far as the Joker. Um,
Yeah,
this
But,
this
well, but
this Joker is better written, and so yeah, my personal favorite episode of this whole new Batman Adventures is actually Joker's Millions. I love that episode.
that is a
um,
good one.
to me, the joke. Here's the thing: in the original animated series, I do not find the Joker funny at all. Like
I like the episode where the guy flips off the Joker, then becomes like his.
yeah. Joker's favorite. That one. But I don't find the Joker himself. I find the guy funny.
Yeah.
But like in the original animated series, you don't get a line like "I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you."
Yeah.
Also, fun fact: this is where they take the clip for in Return of the Joker. Whenever Bruce is comparing the voice recognition, whenever he's on the TV and he says a countdown of victims that will end at midnight. That's where they get this from. Is this? So I like that sort of continuity there. That's fun. I also like the fact that the Joker is not dead from this.
Yeah, I was like, he should at
and he
least
still
lost
has
an
his
arm.
left arm.
Yeah.
Well, no, and they acknowledge it because Gordon's like, "Hey, how's your arm?" He says, "Better than the Joker's." But yeah, I love this. And here's we didn't really talk about the Harley Ivy stuff. Harley and Ivy are best friends, and I love that.
And they
Seldom
should stay best friends.
seldom you can get away with them being lovers. And watching this, I'm like, oh, this is Harley Quinn because she's a dork.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn hasn't been a dork in like 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, We'll get to my hot takes later in the episode.
Yeah.
We'll get there. So,
So yeah, I like this. Let's move on
As a,
to. Oh, wait, go ahead.
well, yeah. As a pilot, it works. It works good for its intention by showing the ensemble.
Right, that's really what this is. This is more of an ensemble, and so like the show itself is more of an ensemble. So the pilot reflects that. Next up, we have The Bat in the Belfry from 2004's The Batman. Who would anyone want to go first? I can go first.
I mean, you grew up with the show.
I love this show, and I love this episode. So do you remember how I said that I don't think that the writing is there for the Joker in animated series? The writing is here. This is where the writing is at for the Joker. I think as far as TV shows go, this is
one of the funnier Jokers.
This is the funniest Joker in any of the cartoons. I also like Batman being younger and more inexperienced, and him. I don't know. Like, to me, my Batman, at least until he gets a sidekick, because it's kind of weird whenever he has a sidekick and he's still acting like this. But before he gets a sidekick, when he has two arms around two honeys, at a basketball game. I also like to think that that Alfred is not a basketball fan, but he's just watching the basketball game to make sure that Bruce is there. And I really enjoy the two detectives, Ellen Yin and Ethan Bennett. Ethan Bennett is a character that gets more to do with each episode in this show, and he's never been introduced in the comics, and I think that's a crime because he's fantastic.
He's practically like the secondary main character, the second main character of the show.
Yeah. But I will say, and I'm gonna hop in front of it before anyone else can get to it. Yes, this show is full of gadgets that say, "Go buy these toys."
A lot of the designs of like the heroes and villains, they are very toy bait. Joker's a toy bait.
Yeah.
So I've been quiet. I was never a big fan of this show. And so I'll just read you the notes I wrote down as I was watching the episode. Please, everybody, ignore the giant bat symbol that's on my iPhone in the middle of the basketball game. Just ignore that. I thought the writing was a little weaker on this show. It does have a gothic feel, but it's kind of more stylized, and the sky kept changing colors every other scene. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's red. It's all over the place.
Me and my brother said that this Gotham feels less like Chicago and more like New Orleans.
Oh yeah, this feels like New Orleans. It's really
I could see that. And I wrote as a bigger focus on gear and tech. And then I wrote down the final scene. Why did they not show laughing fish after the Joker gas poured into the river? That would have been the perfect time to do the laughing fish gag.
Yeah.
Well, then you would have what's his name playing about
Steve Englehart.
Steve Englehart playing about the definitive Batman being ripped off again.
You can never do laughing fish again because Steve Englehart will just be like, that's mine.
So would I greenlight this show or watch again? Maybe, but it's not a home run like the first two were, for me at least.
I guess it's all perspective. Like I said,
well, you got a lot of nostalgia for this show.
I do have nostalgia for this show.
I was like 25 when this came out, or 24, 20, somewhere around there, and Yeah,
It's but I don't know. Like I said, there's something about comparing the Joker's writing in this to the animated series. Like I said, I just don't find the Joker funny in the animated series, and I find this Joker hilarious.
uh,
Eh,
and no disrespect to Michael Richardson, is that his name?
Kevin Michael Richardson.
Kevin Michael Richardson. I'm never a fan of his voice on the Joker or his voice on the Shredder. There's a lot of voices he does I just don't think fit. And this is one where I'm like, does it fit? Later when they introduce Mr. Freeze, I'm like, oh, this is all wrong. There's I don't know.
Technically, they did Mr. Freeze more comic accurate, but
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I will say that, and there's no way they intended for this, but there actually is a payoff to them doing comic accurate Mr. Freeze by season 4, because they do the Dark Knight Returns, where it's like way in the future, and at the end, like towards the end of the episode, whenever they're fighting like a giant mech Mr. Freeze, and he's like really beefy, like Dark Knight Returns Batman, he's like, and after all these years, you're still just trying to steal a diamond, like that, like this. So there's no way it was intended for that payoff, but I think it's interesting.
Also, there's another thing I like about this particular Joker is that we never know where he comes from.
Yeah. We have they never hint at anything.
Yeah.
They never hint at where he comes from.
Just pure chaotic evil.
Yeah. This is definitely one where like I definitely would want you to watch TNBA first. But this is one where I may have to give you just a list of episodes that I think you'll like. But yeah, for me, this one is one that I enjoy quite a bit, actually. In fact, I know I said we weren't ranking them. If I was to, this is actually my number 2.
Okay.
I just realized we skipped one, by the way.
Yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm.
We did skip one. Dang it!
You skipped Batman Beyond.
I realized that. Dang it!
You confused me. I was like, this came out before Batman Beyond. I was confused.
No, it didn't. Dang it! And here's the thing. I don't know why I missed that, because if
that's your favorite show.
Let's go ahead and we'll talk about that while I'm getting this pulled up. Because, like I said, Bat and Belfry is probably my second favorite. Rebirth is the best.
Best pilot.
Absolutely. It wasn't even close. This was hands down the best thing that I watched this week.
Not even close. This is the best.
Both from an audience member and as an executive, this has all the things I need.
And on paper, this should not work. On paper, we're going to do future Batman. It's not Bruce Wayne. It's just going to be some kid running around.
Yeah, high school Batman. That was the pitch.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to be like a Spider-Man.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Spider-Man in here, and it's really funny. Yeah, it's like you said, it's not even close. This is the best thing. And I want to go ahead, and I'm just going to say, I don't think it has to do with the fact that this is a 2-parter,
No.
Because even part 1 is phenomenal without part 2. It's just, man, this just takes me back, man.
There's a lot of heart in the story. You see your hero Bruce Wayne kind of having to use a gun, which is totally against.
That's his, yeah.
Like he broke his own rule,
and so it was like, that's it. I'm no longer worthy to be Batman. I can no longer do this.
If I have to rely on the tools that killed my family, then I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. And you see, as Caleb was saying, in the first Batman animated series, he's got heart, and here you see a Bruce Wayne that has lost his heart. He's lost everything, and
he's lost everyone.
yeah, he's just alone. It's just him and Ace, the Bat Hound. Just at the mansion, and we get introduced to Terry.
And you know immediately that A, he's a bit of a punker, but B, he has a heart. He stopped that Joker from robbing that woman, but has a bit of an anger issue with
Nelson.
With Nelson.
With Flash Thompson, yes.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the line where it's like, you've never wrestled with him?
Yeah.
Like, I did not get that as a kid, man.
I did not realize until I was watching the episode that Michael Gross was playing the father, because I got like, I know that voice.
Oh,
and, yeah. So
I think the best line in this whole episode or series of episodes is something happened to you, and it's not that you just got old. I like that because you can interpret that in two ways. Okay, interpret it the way they probably meant it, which is what we saw at the beginning of the episode. Right? It had nothing to do with the fact that he got old. It had to do with the fact that he finally pulled a gun on someone.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the world building in this was great. I mean, it does take a crazy technology jump from the first scene to the rest of the show.
Yep.
But also, it's kind of like, well, yeah, if I lived in the world of the Justice League, this is what would happen to technology. There would be this huge jump forward. And we get to see the Jokers, which is such an interesting concept that there's this, just kids emulating the Joker, which you kind of saw in again, Dark Knight Returns.
Yep, with the mutants.
Yeah, the mutants. Some of them are sons of the Batman. Some of them are, dressing up like the Joker, and
but they're not wearing hockey pads.
This is very much an homage to Akira.
Yep.
The biker chase with the clown punks, and so I thought this was great. And then seeing Bruce slowly come around, it takes him a while, but he slowly comes around the idea of letting Terry be the new Batman. He sees it.
Well, the breaking point was letting Terry have his vengeance.
Yeah,
because that's basically the idea of all the why Bruce let all of his sons become Robin in the first place, was because he wanted to give them what he couldn't have, which is, vengeance as a child.
Yeah, and the series, this pilot leaves you wanting more. Bruce alludes to Barbara being the commissioner. You're like, okay, what's going on there, and other stuff. So you're wanting to see more of this show. You want to know what's going on with Blight at the end, or Powers. There's just a lot of good stuff in this pilot episode. A really, really strong pilot.
Oh yeah.
So I'll ask you this: when the intro theme song comes on, what's the best part of it?
The best part?
Yes.
I think it's whenever the words come up. It's like apathy.
Yeah. That was not the answer I was looking for, but okay.
Well, that
was actually going to be my answer.
Yeah. And then whenever it says, and then hope, and then the drop happens, and it's all to the song.
Well,
were you going to say the dancing?
The dancing, come on, guys! The dancing is the best part of this intro. It's like when Leonardo nods in the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle intro.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best part. It's just
I like the words because it helped you as say you're a new viewer and if you've never seen Batman Beyond before, you watch that intro and it basically gives you the world building gist without even speaking a single word.
This show taught me what apathy was.
Mm-hmm.
I think this episode's really fun to watch whenever you know what happens to Tim.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything in this episode can come down to Tim. Because whenever he says something happened to you and it's not just that you got old, Yeah, he's talking about. They're alluding to Tim. The fact that, and they're not alluding to Tim because there's no way they knew about this. They knew about that like with this.
Mhm.
But the fact that
Best
you,
part, hands
you
down.
you know sometimes whenever like I'm at like a wedding or something and someone wants me to dance, sometimes I'll dance like like I'm at the club at I always
Not
like
as young, and so am I.
not as young and so am I.
Uh,
I've always I've always liked Chelsea's where she's got like her hand on her hip and her hand is out. Like I've always
Here's another thing they allude to in this episode. I don't know if it's planned. I haven't looked into it. It's not revealed till years later, where they're like, "Wow, Terry's a freak. Look, he can do all these moves and stuff." And it's kind of like you don't get the answer to that until Justice League Unlimited years
yeah.
later.
So here's the thing. As a kid, I didn't like that, but as I've gotten older, the more I like it. And that, and as probably whenever I was about like 24 or something like that, then I was completely on board with it.
And so, for if we're kind of alluding to it, the spoiler, the revelation is that they genetically modified Terry's dad so he would have Bruce's DNA, basically.
Yeah,
Because they were trying to make a new Batman, and they wanted
they being Project Cadmus and Amanda Waller.
yeah, and they were going to kill Terry's father, and the Phantasm could not go through with it
Because she didn't. She loves Bruce so much that she doesn't want to do that to another child.
right.
Plus, that's not what Batman's about.
Exactly.
And yet it happens anyway.
Yeah.
Which is, but there's a difference because Terry still has his mom. Terry has a brother.
Mhm.
And Terry got vengeance.
Terry got vengeance, and it happened later in life. And Terry has a girlfriend. Like it's.
I mean, the ending of Epilogue, basically, like the whole message of Epilogue is like, even though you're not a clone of Batman, you're his son.
Yeah.
You're similar to him, but you're still your own person.
Yeah. Now, shout out to shout out to Warren McGinnis as a father as well. That's the one part that I've always felt weird about Amanda Waller saying you're his son. I'm like that would hit different if he didn't already know his father.
Yeah. It's kind of
They do Warren McGinnis so dirty in that universe.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like you're raised, and then one day your mom's like, "By the way, your dad's not your real dad. He married blah blah blah." So yeah,
but
it does happen to kids, but yeah,
but it's also weird because that is his dad too. It's weird because it's he's Warren McGinnis, but he's got some Bruce DNA, and
yeah.
Cadmus is weird.
Yeah, it's controversial, but at the end of the day, I do like it.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too.
Imagine taking a vaccine that robs your balls.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it is.
So the plan was for Epilogue to be the final episode because it has the same line of dialogue from the first Batman animated series. The pilot.
I mean, still the last thing in continuity.
The what pilot?
The blimp pilots at the beginning where they see the bat fly by. I think it's the same line of dialogue at the end of Epilogue.
Oh yeah.
It was supposed to be the end, and then they got another greenlit for another season. Which I do like that final season, but it kind of
see that's the part that stings the most is usually whenever they get an extra season, it sucks and I can ignore it, but I like that season.
Yeah. Man, I'm just thinking back to
the best of it.
I'm just thinking back to Lex possessed by Brainiac and Flash running and fading away. Oh, it's so good. Okay.
Well, I'm just thinking about where Lex and Flash switch minds. He's like, at
Oh.
least I can find out who the Flash is. I have no idea who this is.
I have no clue who this guy is. That's so good.
That is one of the best Flash episodes in general, where the rogues team up against him, and you see that the Flash really cares about his
enemies.
his
Yeah.
enemies, and Orion of all people learns the lesson. But yeah, so love Batman Beyond. I would greenlight this for more episodes now. Like,
Yes, absolutely. There should have been more episodes. Now, of course, we have lost blanking on his name, the Batman, the voice actor,
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
He will come up soon.
Yeah.
When we get to Caped Crusader.
Yeah. I do have an anecdote about Kevin Conroy relating to Cape Crusader, so we'll get there. Next up, we have Rise of the Blue Beetle with Brave and the Bold. Okay, so here's the thing.
I like the show.
I like the show.
I don't like this episode.
Well, I have a feeling that you're going to be more positive. Why don't you go first?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
I enjoyed this episode. I grew up way before I had Batman animated series. I grew up watching the Batman 60s TV series. So Adam West, all of this stuff. So this is basically the Batman 60s TV series where he just teams up with somebody different every week. And I dig it. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, was this the best episode? Probably not, but I didn't have any problems with it. Blue Beetle gets on my nerves a little bit, but
fun fact, it's Will Friedle.
Yeah.
It's Batman Beyond.
Well, here's the thing. I could not hear the Terry McGinnis in Blue Beetle's voice, but I can 100% hear the Ron Stoppable. It is
he's Ron Stoppable and Kim Possible for those who don't know.
Yeah, which I didn't watch a lot of, so I didn't even catch that. But
well, then did you hear the Eric from Boy Meets World?
I didn't even realize it was Will Friedle the whole episode. So
really? Okay.
But yeah, this is geared towards a younger audience. I just thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the series throughout its run. It's very silly at times. Very Silver Age where anything wacky can happen, and it's nice to have this as
the alternative
to Batman animated series. Batman animated series is serious, and then this is, hey, remember the Silver Age, how wacky it got? And when people complain when stuff happens in comic books, like, oh my gosh, I turned Punisher into Frankenstein. I'm like, yeah, it's a comic book. They do silly stuff. They'll fix it. Don't worry. It's supposed to be fun. So I'm all for Batman Brave and the Bold. I thought it was
although there are better episodes.
Oh, definitely
better.
Yeah, yes. So here's my experience with this episode, and Cameron can attest to this. I was done with this episode about halfway through. And that got me thinking, if I were to greenlight this show based on this episode, I'd be like, okay, you can have this show, but these got to be 11-minute episodes.
Which they almost do at the beginning of the episode. They have these little short vignettes where he's teamed up with a hero, and
it's very clear that they do not have enough plot to make it into a 20-minute cartoon show. Just make it an 11-minute cartoon show, and it'll be a lot better.
I would say do it episode by episode basis. If it needs to be 11 minutes, let it be 11 minutes. If it's worthy enough, then it could be a 22-minute episode.
There are a few episodes that definitely are worthy of the full length, if not more.
Well, if we're talking about if not more, the Owlman stuff, that deserves the 40 minutes it gets. I love the Owlman episodes.
I just
But
keep
yeah,
think of Aquaman singing on the show.
Oh yeah.
oh, with Music Meister. Do you know what's my hot take about Brave and the Bold? Because here's the thing: if I say Brave and the Bold is bad, that's actually not a hot take, right? I'm not saying that, but there are a lot of
No,
people who are down on this show.
Mhm.
My hot take is I think Chill of the Night is one of the weaker episodes.
Yeah, I can see that just because
And that's not why I'm here. Yeah.
Seriousness is not Brave and the Bold strength.
Chill of the Night, Chill of the Night is not why I'm here, you know?
Like,
that
it can
a-
still be
Is
like
that
the
a
show
Joe
can
Chill
still be.
story? What is that? I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah. So it's the Joe Chill story where Phantom Stranger and the Spectre make a bet
Oh.
on whether or not Joe Chill's whether or not Batman's going to kill Joe Chill.
Interesting. Okay, now I kind of
Yeah.
want to watch that. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'll watch that later.
I think it's like season 2 or something like that.
But yeah, it can still be the show can be still very heartfelt again with the Owlman episode and and Batman's interactions with Red Hood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say this is very much the confident master planner Batman on this show. That
Oh yeah, I forgot. Blue Beetle's a Bat God fan.
Yeah. It's like, no, because he's Batman, he's always got kryptonite. But yeah, spoiler alert, I would greenlight all these shows. This is the only one that I'd be like,
okay, do a few changes.
Few changes. You gotta cut this down.
I would greenlight it, but say, can you use someone other than Blue Beetle?
Well, I think Blue Beetle as the start is a good choice, is because this is a character that would appeal to younger audiences, and this is a character that will appear a lot in the show.
And they're wanting to sell toys, which is why he's here. So
yeah, I mean, he is kind of. I don't think they've tried to hide the fact that Jaime is their Peter Parker.
Oh,
I don't think they've tried to hide that.
Jaime is literally Peter Parker if he got the symbiote right away.
That's what it is, because the Scarab is basically the symbiote.
No, it is a symbiote.
Because it's got the vibration weakness. Oh man. Next up, we have Hunted. Beware the Batman. This one, I think of all of these shows, this is the one that is the most hotly contested, even now, 10 years later, because this show came out in 2013, I think. So 11 years. 11 years later, this show is still hotly contested.
I forgot this show existed. I've never seen this before this week. So
okay.
So we got a fresh take.
I thought the explosions were cool. I'll start with that. I did not like the bat suit. It's too black. It's I like some different colors on the bat suit.
My complaint with the bat suit is that it's too shiny and it's not black enough.
Yeah.
It was made to be an action figure first.
It felt, and it's gonna sound awful. It felt like a gimp suit or something, like that black latex rubbery nasty look.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I liked the Alfred character. I just did not like that it was Alfred. If that makes sense.
I could see that.
It's
Earth One.
Yeah, Earth One Batman,
Yeah.
and it has a little bit of DNA of OG Alfred, where he was actually just hired by Bruce Wayne as a butler.
Mm-hmm.
I
thought that I didn't like the way Bruce talked, where he was like he would refer to him and Batman as "we," like Venom. I didn't like that. And then the villains, they were okay. It was kind of a weird take on Professor Pig. And then,
I mean, how else would you do Professor Pig in a kids show?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do traditional Professor Pig.
Yeah.
And then the frog was just okay.
I love Mr. Toad.
He was all right. I mean, they were kind of going for more of a Wind of the Willows thing. I get it, but and then it felt like the episode just ended. It just and it felt like nothing was resolved at the end.
Yeah.
And,
So
and a fun cameo of Mr. Terrific.
yeah, that's funny. So Michael Holt, who is the second guy who got kidnapped, is Michael Holt is Mr. Terrific, and
Okay.
I'm like, I forgot that he was in the show, and so I googled it, and I'm like, I mean, does he show up as Mr. Terrific? I don't remember him show. He doesn't show up as Mr. Terrific. It's just this episode.
I feel like it's because they didn't have enough billionaires in the DC universe and it was like, okay, we need one that's actually sort of a decent guy to fill up the kidnapped billionaire ensemble.
Okay.
Yep.
And I don't know anything about the show. Does the girl at the end become Robin?
That's
No.
Katana.
She's
Oh,
got his back.
Katana. Okay. Well, uh, her motorcycle was red and yellow. That's why I thought she was going to be
Oh,
Robin.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, she's Katana. So essentially,
I recommend not getting killed by their sword.
Oh yeah.
So I'll go at here's the thing. My problem is this is actually the one show that I won't be able to view this as the one episode, because the whole
Super episodic.
Right. This is not for this show is not for syndication, which is funny because it's a kids show. But this is a 26 episode show, and from the very beginning, it is all just to break it down into very simple terms. This show is about Batman making friends.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
well,
Batman's social life.
Right. Because this is a Batman who does not want a social life. He doesn't want help. And then throughout the show, he runs and he's got Katana. Metamorpho shows up.
Who has his back?
Yeah. Metamorpho is in the show. Simon Stagg is a Metamorpho villain, so they have that from the very beginning. Slade Wilson becomes like his best friend until he betrays him. Man Bat shows up and it teams up with Batman. This show is about Batman making friends from beginning to end, and it basically ends with them forming the Outsiders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is Black Lightning on there?
No, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it's just Man Bat, Metamorpho, and Katana.
Okay. So the question, would I continue watching this show? No, I will not be continuing to watch this show. Yeah, it was okay. I feel like there's better Batman shows out there for me to watch.
So this is one of those shows that 100% gets better as it goes along, and by that I mean this actually in a literal sense. Every single episode is better than the last episode.
Okay.
So there comes a point where this actually becomes one of the best Batman shows, but you got to work at it.
And that does happen with season ones of pilots. Sometimes it takes season 2 or season 3 for them to find their voice.
Oh, like the Star Wars cartoon shows are infamous for this.
Yeah. So
no one talks about season 1 of Rebels.
Yeah.
And we like. But one thing I do like about this show in general is we don't really use there's no Penguin, there's no Joker, there's no Catwoman. I like the fact that we don't use the mainstay villains. Like
we just use the weird ones.
Yeah, like the main villain of the show is Anarchy, and that's awesome. Magpie's in the show, and Tobias Whale and Humpty Dumpty, like Lady Shiva, like it's.
I'm wondering if half of this ensemble came from the Bat embargo.
No. I did research on this. They had no limitations on this show. They just didn't want to use the mainstays.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna do something, do something
to be
different.
honest, Professor Pig did give me like Penguin vibes, anyways.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Magpie is their Catwoman, so in a way, they kind of do that.
Basically, it's just a Batman show without the Joker.
Yeah. Which is fine because some Batman shows don't know how to write the Joker.
And sometimes Batman, just in general, becomes too Joker focused.
Yeah. So that was Beware the Batman. I like the show, but like I said, I am not going to be able to. Like, I would greenlight the show, but that's just because I've seen the whole show and I love the show. By the end, I think it's probably by maybe by episode 9 or something like that is whenever the show gets really good.
That's a smiling French joke right there. When does
What?
the show get good? Oh, season 3 and stop at season 7, episode 400.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's not even a smiling friends joke. That's a lot of shows. No, I mean, that's how I am with Gotham. Like, yeah, just season 2 is whenever Gotham gets good, and then stop at halfway through season 5.
Oh. I remember
But
we watched the premiere episode of Gotham and Amazing Spider-Man 2 in the same night, and I thought I was going to die.
which is funny because I love both of those
I know
things.
you do.
You know what I think about Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the most accurate Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Because not all Spider-Man is good.
Let's get to Cape Crusader. Let's finish this.
All right. So in Treacherous Waters, at this point, I don't think any of us have talked about our opinions on this, so this will be interesting.
Mhm.
Who wants first? I'll go first. I like this. I like this a lot, actually. I wanted to keep this pure. We only watched the first episode. I wanted to keep watching.
I did keep watching, so I'll say that.
Oh, okay.
I've seen the first 3.
Okay, gotcha. So I like this a lot. I think Hamish Linklater does a really good job as Batman. In fact,
Oh yeah.
The little anecdote that I have with Hamish Linklater is he actually got some coaching from Kevin Conroy before he passed, which is Batman is his real voice and Bruce Wayne is the fake voice.
Mm-hmm.
So use your real voice for Batman and then fake the Bruce Wayne voice, which is very interesting.
Didn't you also say that this voice is the most accurate to what you picture Batman to actually sound like?
Yeah. So for me, I've always when I read a comic book, I've always had Batman kind of not really gravelly in the voice, but I've always liked him more as a whisper. And so this is more of what I think of as Batman when I'm reading the comics, is less of a gravel and more of a whisper. Which is why I like Robert Pattinson's Batman as well, because he's more whispering than the others. Which there's definitely a lot of, obviously, because Matt Reeves is involved with this. There's a lot of the Batman in this as well. I like the bat suit. I like the classic gloves rather than the new style gloves. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I've only seen the first episode, but we all know that Bruce Timm has this weird thing with Bruce and Barbara, right?
Yeah.
If he decides to do it with this show, this is the best he's done so far, because this is basically not even Barbara Gordon. This is Rachel Dawes. So I'm more on board with it.
Yeah, it's a different take.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And let's go ahead and get the elephant in the room, or the penguin in the room. So Penguin is female. if I'm being honest, it really doesn't change much, so it doesn't bother me. In fact, her 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 interactions with her sons. This is kind of like if Lucille Bluth was a supervillain, and I think that's really funny. So I'm actually on board with that.
My only complaint is the name Oswalda.
Yeah, Oswalda is not a name. I'll go ahead and say that.
It felt like Bruce Timm was just like, okay, I'm bored. I want to make this penguin female. What's her name? Oswalda. Let's move on. I want to write my Bruce Barbara ship.
Okay,
But,
well, I've been quiet about Cape Crusader. Usually on this show, I'll be super excited about something, and then Caleb will knock all the air out of my sails. So this is my turn to do that. I do like that this feels like a 1930s, like it feels like it's based on 1930s Batman. I feel
sort
like
of.
animation style, it could almost, not quite, be kind of like in the Max Fleischer Superman type of universe. Like that could be like a sister series to that. And the animation's good, and the some of the characters all look alike, but yeah. But having seen 3 episodes, I will say the episodes do get better than this one, but I think Batman's dumb on this show. He's just not smart.
Okay.
And I there's just always something in each episode that just takes me out where it's like, that's so stupid. I hate this. And I want to like it. And I can't really go. Well, I will tell you one thing. There's a humongous continuity error in the next episode, and I don't know if episodes were filmed out of order or what, or they swap things around. But the police station is just back to normal in the next episode. I'm like, they blew it up. That's months of reconstruction. What are
Right.
you talking
Yeah.
about? But yeah,
I look. It's like a Band-Aid. We expect them to blow up.
yeah. It's like those little capsules you throw in the water and it turns into a dinosaur. We just throw the building capsule in the water and it turns into a police station. It's amazing. I didn't hate Penguin, but I hated the reactions to Penguin. Like it felt like let me find my picture. Hold on. It felt like I was watching Little Red Riding Hood, where she's up there singing. All the cops are like, "Oh my gosh, she's the hottest thing I've ever seen." And I'm like, she looks like a guy in drag. What are you talking about? I think that's the scene that bugged me the most, was when she was singing, and all the cops were like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, sing about me, yeah, woo." And I mean, part of me is like, okay, well, maybe they're just trying to court favor since she's the one that has the money, but it just, like, Harvey and everybody was just lusting over her, and it felt weird. And I almost felt like I would like her to be like a different character, like Mama Bear or something, or Mama Polar Bear, and then have her son that looked like Penguin be the future Penguin, or something. It just, something felt off about that. I felt like Batman never really investigates the explosion at the beginning. He's just like, I bet the cops know something. It's just like a logic leap where he's just, I'm going after the cops supposed to be corrupt. They're the ones, and it just felt off. I feel like Harvey Dent is John Romita Peter Parker with evil eyebrows. Every time I saw him, I just
I like the look.
yes, looks wise, it's just Peter Parker with evil eyebrows every scene. I don't know. It bugged me. Let me see what else I wrote down. The Rupert Thorne stuff, like, it didn't make any sense. It would have made more sense if he did not have a little birdie in her organization. He just said that, so she'll just start knocking off her sons. Like, it was just weird that he hinted to her. I don't know. There were just weird things in the show that I just, story wise, just wasn't working for me. Let's see.
As far as the Rupert Thorne letting her know that he's got. I think it's pretty par for the course for mobsters. Like at least from like Goodfellas or
Mhm.
Godfather,
Like it's like gentlemen, like we're we have rules here, and so I'm just gonna let you know, yeah, there's someone in your organization, just to
not even it's like rubbing it in her face.
yeah.
like maybe not Godfather, Tony Soprano.
Was the trunk with the skeleton in the underwater supposed to be her son? I don't know if you
Yes.
saw it. How did he turn into a skeleton so fast?
Wait. Wait, hold on. The trunk. Okay, with the skeleton, I don't
Like when
know.
the bat sub goes by and it's passing the landscape, there's a trunk busted open with a skeleton inside.
Is that in a later episode?
No, it's this episode when the bat sub is heading towards at the end of the episode. After she is throwing her son out in the trunk, when Batman goes by in the bat sub, there's a trunk he passes cracked open with a skeleton inside.
I'd have to look at that. I'm gonna say no, just because
That's what I was thinking. But when someone's,
yeah.
I was also say, "Oh, that was her son." I was like, "What? How?"
No, I mean, like it's
It
easier.
just felt like it was like just a mobster dumping ground for people.
Yeah, I think that's an easier leap. Because I mean, like it's Gotham.
Yeah. So I'm going to continue watching this show. I want to like this show, but there's just moments in each episode where I'm like, what? And I'm trying.
So
I'm really trying.
Can I, if I may,
Uh-huh.
do you think that there is just a little bit of resentment towards new things in general for you, just because in recent
I've seen it better. I've seen it done better. I think is my thing.
I don't think in an alternate history 1940s style. Like, I mean, I guess it's kind of close to the animated. I find this to be closer to like Darwin Cook stuff more than anything, like New Frontier.
Yeah, I could see that. There's just some weird writing stuff. I don't want to spoil episode 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's after you watch them, we'll talk about some of the weird stuff in those episodes.
Okay.
I don't hate Commissioner Gordon. Barbara's okay. She's just different.
Which, if you want, Bruce Tim, I'll go ahead and let you know now. If you want to have your Bruce Barbara ship, I'll allow this one, okay? Because it's not creepy in this.
Yeah.
She's not a teenager.
And yeah, go ahead.
Well, what's funny about that whole ship is that Bruce Timm made this creepy on purpose, because the Barbara Dick Grayson ship was not a thing in the comics until the animated series. So yeah. Bruce Timm did that himself.
I do like the voice cast in general. Like I said, I said my stuff on Hamish Linklater. Just looking at the voice cast, I think it's fun that, like, I haven't heard her yet, but Christina Ricci as Catwoman, that sounds fun. I can say Minnie Driver as the Penguin. I love Minnie Driver, so I'm on board.
Yeah, like I said, it was just a cabaret scene that was like, what are we? What?
Yeah. If I may, I do think it's definitely more towards the fact that she's the rising crime boss of Gotham, and she's already taken down so many of Rupert Thorne's places that I could definitely see the cops being like sucking up to her.
The other thing was, okay, compare this to Batman animated series. I did not need anybody to tell me that Bullock was a scumbag. I just, this guy's a jerk. And this one is like, we've got corrupt cops. It like zooms in on Flask's and Bullock's face. Like, hey, audience, wink, wink. Hey, here's your corrupt cops. And it was like, okay, I get it.
I know you don't like Harvey being crooked.
Yeah, that was my thing.
Well,
is
not even
art.
that. It just it felt like let me see their actions, and then I'll say, "Oh,
Oh,
these guys suck." I mean, it
oh
just kind of like they're like beating the audience over the head, like, "Hey, these guys are corrupt," you
no,
know?
he's talking about me.
No,
Arnold Flass, he is corrupt,
yes,
100%.
yes.
You got to sell me on Harvey Bullock being corrupt.
Like Gotham sold me on that.
Gotham did sell me on that. So plus like ideally, um, ideally, uh, Flass is going to be outed and Bullock is going to have a redemption. That's
They definitely do more scumbaggy things in the future episodes. I will say that.
okay.
But it just, I don't know. It felt like there was no subtlety. It was just,
Sure.
and oh, there's stuff in episode 3 that I want to talk about so bad.
Which is weird.
Episode 3 is the Catwoman episode. So
I've heard that's one of the better episodes for some people.
okay,
Uh,
to each their own.
yeah.
And again, the whole episode was not terrible. It's just little things that I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And it's just taking, and I hate to be that guy, but it's just taking me out of the episode. And I want to like this. And I'm just getting frustrated every time. And there's great writers on this, Ed Brubaker and Greg Rucka and all these people. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
The second episode was probably the strongest of the 3. I will say that.
I get the vibe that this series is less like a period piece or whatever, and more like a bunch of seasoned writers being like, "All right, I just want to do something different with Batman."
Yeah. I do want to point that out because a lot of people are talking about how like
how the certain stuff doesn't really fit the time period.
It doesn't fit the time period.
Oh, that doesn't bug me. The Batman animated series time period was always a big question mark. That does not bug me at all.
And
I think the problem is they advertise it as a period piece where it's not. It's supposed to be a shadow homage.
Did they? I don't think they did advertise it as a period piece. I think they said 1940s inspired.
Yeah, the costume looks a lot like the Batman costume in the old 1940s serials and stuff. It looks very much like that.
But yeah, a lot of people that I've seen who are like really dogging the show, like really just like, you know, anti Cape Crusader. Some reviewers that you know, some reviewers I used to respect, and by the way, my loss of respect for those reviewers don't specifically have to do with Cape Crusader. It's over the course of, you know, several years of their opinions. But you know, some people are saying that, like, you know, this is supposed to be 1940s, but they're hitting us over the head with 2024 wokeism, and that's the only reason that Penguin is a woman and all that. If I can just be frank, if you read the interviews with Bruce Timm, they actually Warner Brothers actually came to him saying that they wanted to bring back the animated series like X-Men 97, and he said no because he was bored with that stuff. And so any change in this show, whether it's, you know, Harley as a person of Asian descent, or, you know, a woman Penguin, I think I can attribute to that more that Bruce Timm is just bored than
okay.
He's been working on Batman for almost like 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you work on Batman for that long.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. If you look at X-Men 97, they do have one of the X-Men animated guys as from the 90s as a consulting producer, but he wasn't the guy in charge. He was just a consultant. Right. So I would almost rather them have done that new Batman animated series. Bruce Timm can consult, and Paul Dini could consult, and then just bring in a new group or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you can question whether or not Bruce Timm should have said yes anyways, but that's a whole different conversation.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's definitely what I would have rather had. Again, I'm giving the show a chance. You know, I'm kind of like, okay, I just
How do you feel about Harvey obviously being an a-hole from the very beginning?
that bugged me. Harvey is like he's already Two-Face. He's already well. It's like there's not two sides. It's just one side. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's like, well, you got to have something to contrast. You can't just have him be a jerk and a jerk. It needs to be law and justice and chaos and on the other side, you know.
I guess that's where they have me is, every other interpretation of Harvey has been that. And now that we have a Harvey who's an a-hole from the very beginning, I'm like, okay, what do you got for me? Because I wish they hadn't shown it in the trailers, but obviously we know that he's going to be Two-Face by the end of the show.
Well, I think that, I mean, like, spoilers. I just kind of glancing through the titles of the episodes. I think that's the finale of the season is the Two-Face story.
Yeah, so we're definitely building. So if we introduce Harvey in episode 1 as a jerk, as a corrupt DA, who is giving star witnesses vacations to the Bahamas so that way they don't testify, and then we go through this whole season. By the end, he's gonna be like the villain of the last episode. Then
he needs to have a redemption moment where he lets the face, like, let it down that he actually is a good guy before that happens. He needs some type of moment where it's like, oh, it's kind of an act that I'm a smug jerk. I actually do want to see justice. I do care. So I've been watching a lot of things on a lot of video essays on Cabin in the Woods and about how the people in that movie make bad decisions because they're getting gas pumped into the cabin to make them make stupid decisions, explaining that away. And I feel like in this series, people just are constantly making stupid decisions, and it drives me crazy. I don't know. Again, I always say, if you like something, like it, great. I don't care, but I don't want to color your opinions on future episodes because obviously we had different reactions to this first episode. So,
what did you ever play the Batman Telltale game?
I watched Matt Pat play it.
Okay,
yeah.
I kind of get that vibe from this as well, and I really like the Telltale game.
Okay.
I don't know, like I'm kind of with Bruce Timm at this point, like as far as cartoons go. Like,
I'll say this: I'm satisfied with where Justice League ended up and Batman, Superman, all that. I would love a Flash show though in the Bruce Timm verse,
right? Yeah,
like that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like if we were gonna do Batman, I would rather this than more animated series, just because like that animated series is over. Like the difference between this and X-Men '97, and we've said this, and I'll go ahead and say it again: '90s X-Men is bad, and so
well, and at least the Bruce Timm stuff, it has endings.
Yeah,
like we said, Epilogue is a great ending. You have Batman Beyond that ties up the story. Return of the Joker ties up a lot of the story, and Justice League and all that. X-Men doesn't really have an ending. They stopped production.
Yeah.
So
but to be fair, can you really end X-Men? That's like saying, all right, we fixed racism.
Well, I mean, they've done X-Men: The End and stuff. They could tell a final Magneto Xavier story if you wanted to end everything, and have Scott taking over the school and this next generation of hope for the future and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
All right, so that was our thoughts on Cape Crusader and all the Batman pilots. Do you disagree with us? Obviously, we don't agree with each other on almost all these series, except for I think Batman Beyond.
Pretty much, yeah.
Next week, hopefully, Caleb and Chunko will get a chance to see Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine, or whatever the title is.
My dad said something about it, so we might be seeing it this week. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're hopefully going to do full spoilers for the movie, and if not, we definitely will be reviewing Joe Kelly's Deadpool, which set up a lot of the character traits that we see in the movies. So we will be discussing that next week. And then until next time, I've been Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
And I'm Chunko.
I think y'all both broke up.
Oh.
I've been Final Monkey. Is Caleb still there?
And I'm Caleb.
And I'm Chunko yet again.
And we'll catch you next time in the Shark Pond.
See ya.
See ya.